The biggest trap that researchers and seekers of truth can fall into is reaching at any point the idea that they've got it. We're not awake, we're awakening. So when people say, I woke up, yes, okay, but you're still awakening after that. Because as Socrates said in ancient Greece, or was supposed to have done, wisdom is knowing how little we know. So I've always gone on that basis that whatever we think we know, there's always more to know. I mean, that's the big truth that's without question true. And so I've gone on going deeper in the rabbit hole and asking where all this is coming from, what's going on in the world today. Because I concluded a very long time ago, back in the 1990s, when I was researching this and putting together the names, dates, places level of information, that there's no way it could be orchestrated purely by people sitting around the table deciding their next move. It's much bigger than that. So how big? Where does it go? Where does it come from? And the sequence of my life since I had my initial head blown off awakening in 1991, it was a pursuit of where this came from. And it was the knowledge that what we see and therefore think we know about what's going on is only a fractional part of what there is to know. So what I've done over the last 32 years is span out from just the daily news of events and what's happening, what Klaus Schwab has said or Gates has said or any of these people. And I want to know what's behind them. And so I've been on this journey going deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole, and I realized that beyond what I call the global cult, the global secret society network through which this is all orchestrated, was a non-human force that was manipulating human society to its own ends. And I think that absolutely since the COVID era began, more and more people have started to realize that the agenda that's unfolding is anti-human. Every area of life that is essential to humans, whether it's water, whether it's food, whether it's the atmosphere that's being changed by technologically generated radiation, even the nature of the body being manipulated, all these different essential areas of human life are being targeted. And thus it's an anti-human agenda. And a lot more people than ever before, far more, are starting to say, well, maybe that's because, as that mad guy Ike says, behind this is a non-human force. And I guess to start is to go back to just after the turn of the millennium, when I just got so powerfully, a kind of knowing that we live in a simulation. The technologically massively advanced version of a virtual reality computer game. What we call the laws of physics are actually the rules of the simulation that have been encoded into it. You can encode whatever rules and laws that you want in your game, but you're still going to be limited by the processing speed of the computer system or whatever you're working with, and that's the speed of light. So I was long exploring this side of things. And then in the last couple of years, a lot of things have been happening to me that have been pointing me in a very clear direction. And it's this: if we break up the different levels of reality, let's call this what we call the human world. Let's call it the third dimension. There are other dimensions beyond that. Now, people often when they think of other dimensions, they think, well, other dimensions are way out there. And of course, in frequency terms, they are way out there because this is a low frequency world. But there are other frequency bands, call them dimensions, which are very much closer to this one. And there's one which the spiritual arena and ancient cultures, they call it the astral. I call it the fourth dimension. And then there's beyond that, the fifth dimension. And that is beyond the simulation. That is outside the simulation. So if you awaken, this is what I think awakening is. You awaken to expand your consciousness beyond the third dimension, beyond the fourth dimension. You're then tapping in to information, knowledge, awareness, knowing that is not being tampered with by the simulation. And that's what we call waking up. That's when people start to see things. Why didn't I see it before? Because you were within the simulated, manipulated reality before. So what this series of amazing synchronicities in my life in the last 2 years have pointed me to is that this reality we can see is being manipulated, and this simulation controlled by and created by and projected from the lower levels of the fourth dimension, the lower astral. And the lower astral is the realm of demons, demonic consciousness, distorted consciousness, what people call lost souls. It's a mess. It's very low vibrational, and it's very dark, and it's very confusing, and it's very chaotic. Which means that this cult that I've been exposing for 30 years, which is behind world events and the direction of the world and the chaos that's unfolding, is actually an extension, an expression of this lower astral consciousness and the entities that reside there.